Things are heating up in the Bronx, and maybe not in a good way after yesterday getting pasted by the Baltimore Orioles, where they gave up a lot of runs and a lot of hits. We'll see if that changes today. So let's talk some of that Major League Baseball action. 971, 972 on the rotation today. 7:05 start in the Bronx. Muggy conditions once again. It's going to be the left-hander on the mound, Chris Sale, taking on the left-hander, Carlos Rodon. If we look at some of these numbers overnight, Joe, we actually had a favorite of a minus 124 price for the Atlanta Braves. As I take a look currently here, we have more of a pick-em split, minus 112, minus 104 in that arena. But the one thing that we do know, the Atlanta Braves are an interesting team. It seems like in the beginning of the year and in years past, hey, we can out-hit you, but certainly we can pitch pretty good. Now it seems like more likely we'll get a couple hits here, but boy, oh boy, we're really going to pitch well. Because if I take a look at the past 60 days in Major League Baseball with the starters on the card tonight with a minimum of 20 innings pitched, Chris Sale is number 2 with xFIP numbers at a 2.27. So if we're looking at this game tonight, is this a bounce back for the Yankees, or could they struggle? Because Sale's been really good.
Sale has been good, but he's had a stinker mixed in there, and so has Rodon, right? His last outing was not great by any stretch here, but he is 4-0 with a 2.30 ERA at Yankee Stadium. And when it comes to lineups, Donnie, who do we trust here? Are we trusting the Braves lineup to get the Rodon before the Yankees lineup can get the Sale, who they know pretty well from his time with the Red Sox? To me, it's the Yankees coming off a absolute embarrassing effort yesterday. I like him in this one to start this series off with a win.
Yeah, they need a bounce-back performance after that yesterday. Sometimes just shake it off. In a Major League Baseball, you play 162 games. You're not going to win every game. Yeah. You're not going to crush teams. You're not going to pitch great. And sometimes you have some slip-ups. It's up to that next day to get a good start out of your starter, which we'll see if Rodon can do that. Boston and Cincinnati, 7:10 start tonight here. The total in this game listed at 9s across the board, and also at the FanDuel Sportsbook. A little bit of movement here. A minus 112 price in favor of Boston overnight. That has shifted to a minus 108 price across the board now for both sides. So with the facto pick 'em, Crawford coming in against Abbott. It's an interesting situation because I've really liked Boston this season so far, because it's a team that we didn't expect a lot out of coming out of spring training. Because why? They didn't spend a lot of money in the offseason, and there were better opportunities in the AL East than picking, let's just say, the Red Sox. But they got a couple quality left-handed batters in that lineup, and young left-handed batters that have been doing damage on the bases, which means stealing, and also at the plate. Here's the issue. Abbott's a left-handed pitcher. He might be able to neutralize that a little bit. Kutter Crawford had a great start to the season, getting tripped up a little bit lately. What are your thoughts here between Boston and Cincinnati tonight, live in Cincinnati?
Yeah, and I mean, but he's been really good, Kutter Crawford, on the road so far this year. And Andrew Abbott, for the most part, much better at home than on the road. I don't think we're not going to have to deal with any sort of weather issues in this game. Both bullpens are rested and ready to go here, and certainly believe it or not, the Reds have been an under machine lately, Donnie. The bats just have not, usually the Great American Ballpark, we think of nothing but runs, and more runs. It has not been that way. The Reds have been really profitable to the under, and I certainly think that that might be in play here tonight. You don't want to step in front of the Red Sox. They have been crushing the ball and winning games impressively, but I think we might get, I think 9.5 here is a little bit much. I am looking at the under in this one.
By the way, Joe's right on that. Kutter Crawford this year, 34 1/3 innings pitched on the road. How about this ERA, 2.62? If you like the analytical side that I do, it's a little bit higher at 4.34. So you might be saying he's getting a little bit luckier than good, but it's not as if we're saying, hey, Joe, it's based on 16 batters here. No, there's a pretty good 34 1/3 innings that you can backtrack. We'll see what Kutter Crawford has tonight. The team that waxed the Yankees yesterday is now going back on the road. They are going to take on the Houston Astros. So that's the Baltimore Orioles and the Houston Astros. 8:10 start Eastern. That's Rodriguez on the mound versus Bloss. A heavy favorite here for Baltimore, no surprise. Overnight, as high as 168 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. That's now down to 164 in a total of 8.5 across the board. Great baseball team here in the Orioles. Not so great here. And also, it's not as if you have a stopper on the mound tonight for the Houston Astros with my guy Bloss going tonight here, Joe.
Yeah, you don't, but you want to talk about a home-road dichotomy here. Grayson Rodriguez has some dramatic road splits here, much better, giving up almost 2 runs more away from Camden Yards here. I looked at it as, believe it or not, the thing that stuck out to me here, Donnie, was his strikeout prop, 6.5, going up against a Houston team that is top 5 in non-striking out. They do not strike out. He is not going to be mowing down the Houston Astros. They will put the ball in play here. I still think the under in the strikeouts here is the way to go. He's not been good on the road. Maybe an over might not be a bad look either.
Not a lot of numbers here in this next game. Toronto and Cleveland. Rodriguez set to be on the mound here for Toronto is just what I'm having listed here. A total across the board, 9.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Some of their outlets reporting a 9, so we're expecting runs. But Carrasco on the mound, who's not been great by any stretch for the Guardians, he's a slight favorite here now at a 122 price. I really like this Cleveland team here, and with the pitching prospects on the mound, look, at least you know Carrasco's a major league pitcher. I don't know what I'm getting out of Rodriguez tonight. So any thoughts on Toronto and Cleveland tonight, or is it just, you know what, Cleveland's in first place playing good baseball, they're at home, cheap price, I'll roll that way?
I got a lockdown bullpen, one of the best bullpens in the league, a team that plays really good defense at home, and the lineup I trust a lot more than anything Toronto has rolled out here. Yeah, it would only be, again, at a very cheap price, considering here, Donnie. I think the Guardians are the way to look. I don't care who's throwing the ball out there.
By the way, also, you take a look at Carrasco, and I love, Joe's the same way as me. You always love the split set here because there is things that, like, hey, look, they just don't pitch well at home, or they just don't pitch well on the road, because some of these guys pitch in Colorado, some of these guys pitch in San Francisco. So those splits make a difference. Like, hey, why is he such a good pitcher in San Francisco, but not a great pitcher when he goes to, like, Wrigley Field? Oh, exactly. It's the environment that you're pitching in. If you look at Carlos Carrasco, 19 2/3 innings pitched at home, it's a 5.49 ERA. His xFIP is a 4.69. So you might say to yourself, like, okay, I know Cleveland's probably going to hit. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Toronto, but Carrasco certainly can be had. But then again, you don't have a price point here, Joe, where take a look at 7.5 or 8.5. That's 9.5, which means you need double-digit runs scored to cash that total. We'll see if it happens here. More Major League Baseball on the way right here on the early line. More Major League Baseball, people. And yes, we are live in charge, having fun on a Friday, a hockey Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network. But a lot of good Major League Baseball to get to, which includes some afternoon action, which, of course, it's at Wrigley Field. It's what they do to start their weekends. The New York Mets and the Chicago Cubs. Quintana versus Imanaga, both left-handed pitchers on the mound. If we look at this number, how about this? No movement overnight. Opened up at a 152 price, still sits at a 152 price in favor of the Chicago Cubs. In 8.5 here. The one thing we know about Imanaga, he was spectacular for 95% of the season. A couple bumps in the road here. The Grimace Mets looking to get back on board with some W's. Any ideas what might go down today in the friendly confines?
I don't know how you can't bet Imanaga here at home, at Wrigley, in a day game, which he has excelled at here. The Cubs also know Jose Quintana from his time being there. He does not excel in this spot on the road at all. So, I think the number is a little light, but I'll tell you what, I would much rather look to the first 5. Donnie, split this game in half. I do believe the Cubs bats, and I think they put a couple of wins together finally. I do think with Imanaga on the mound, he will limit the hot bats of the Mets. I'm going to look at the Cubs in the first 5 in this one.
And you might be right on this one, too, because just from pitching pedigree, we expect the Cubs to have the better guy on the mound. If you look at those road splits for Quintana, how about 33 2/3 innings, Joe, with an ERA of 6.68? And again, it's not as if you're going on the road and pitching in Florida today. You are going on the road and pitching in Wrigley Field. That might be of some consequence there. So we'll see how that one turns out. So Cubs and the Mets, favorite here to Chicago. We'll see how that one plays out. How about this? A return of the championship series in the National League last year, which didn't turn out quite well for my Philadelphia Phillies. That's Arizona. That's Philadelphia. It's Montgomery, the left-hander on the mound, taking on Taijuan Walker. He's actually had a couple good starts lately, which wasn't the case when he got back into the rotation. The Phillies are a favorite. However, that line has dipped a little bit. Overnight, minus 146 price. That's now down to minus 142. But this is Philadelphia we're talking about. 9.5 as a total. Both of these pitchers susceptible. It's hot, it's muggy, and it's a hitter's ballpark. Arizona, Philadelphia tonight, Joe. What are we thinking?
I think Arizona has found, Corbin Carroll has finally started hitting, Donnie, and that has really changed the dynamic of this team over the late. But neither of these starting pitchers have been great at all. Montgomery still thinks he's in, spring training here. Not great. Walker, I think, is hurt, but he's trying to muscle through it. And let's face it here. We're talking about a left-handed pitcher in which the Phillies absolutely crushed second in the National League in OPS versus left-handed starters. They're 7-0 after a day off. They're 18-6 after a loss. All signs are pointing to Philadelphia in this one, and it's kind of hard to argue.
And by the way, Jordan Montgomery on the road here, Joe, 24 innings pitched. How about this ERA? 5.25. Now, his xFIP number is a little bit below that, but again, you're pitching in Philadelphia against a pretty good lineup. We'll see how it stacks up. For me, I think we're getting more runs than not in this game. I think Taijuan Walker's an average pitcher, and you're right. Some of those guys finally starting to step up. Jock Peterson probably back in the lineup tonight. We should get some power and some good hitting environment here in Philadelphia. Next game, we'll take a look at Milwaukee and San Diego, who yesterday on my card, I thought the two worst pitchers on the card, and it provided wins for me, RBI props, and also a total in that game. If we take a look at Ray versus Cease, it's a favorite here at a minus 154 price at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now for San Diego, a total that's only listed at 7.5. Ray sometimes does get bumped for an opener here over that first inning, so we'll see if that is the case. But a low total out in San Diego. Who do we trust after a lot of runs last night out there?
Yeah, it was, 4 runs, back-to-back home runs, including Machado in the first inning, kind of set the tone last night. But Cronenworth had to walk it off with a home run in the bottom of the ninth because they blew that lead, Donnie. So the Brew Crew also 10-4 when Colin Ray starts. So they score runs for him here, and Cease has been anything but reliable lately here, Donnie. I like the lineup of the Brewers more. I think the Brewers also 5th in Major League Baseball in road wins. They're a resilient group. I think they bounce back here.
I had a nice Rowan Robin day yesterday, Joe, with some RBI props, which ended in that last game. I had Yelich to get one, which he got one early. But because I always say this, we always remember the really bad beats. Like, how could that happen to me? A double down the line where the runner didn't score. But last night, I had one with Profar in the 7th inning. He had a straight line drive to left field to Yelich. It got caught up in the lights, so he didn't get a glove on it. Goes to the fence. Tatis comes around to score. That's one for the good guys that shouldn't have happened here. So remember the good time. Hockey excitement here. Oh, yes. Tonight is game number 6. The Edmonton Oilers looking to push a game number 7 against the Panthers and go from Edmonton and get those frequent flyer miles going once again down to South Florida. We'll find out if that happens. But a huge Major League Baseball slate tonight. Let's get cracking once again. 10-10, the Battle of Los Angeles. That's the Angels and the Dodgers. Sandoval, the lefty, will be on the mound here for the Angels. The Dodgers with Mr. Knack. And by the way, line opened up overnight at a minus 198 price that you'll see right there. Current pricing right now, minus 210 as a favorite for the Dodgers. A heavy favorite tonight out of Chavez Ravine and a total that's listed at 8.5. Two pitchers I'm not technically in love with at this point. So any eyeballs on this game for you, Joe?
Well, I mean, Ohtani did a home run. I think that has to be on the docket. Does it not, Tony? I think that's got to be it. And also, there's a very interesting trend happening here with the Angels. Take advantage of it. The Angels either win games and at nice prices, or they get absolutely blown out. There has only been 2 Angel games which they've lost by exactly 1 run over the last, 8-9 weeks. So do yourself a favor. If you think the Angels can keep it competitive, you might as well play them on the run line. If you like the Dodgers, lay the 1.5. The Angels keep nothing close when they lose games.
Yeah, we'll see if they can compete in that one. As I said, again, the Battle of Los Angeles, which maybe in a year's past, like, hey, Tani's on one side, Trout's healthy, but obviously they're just a shell of their former selves there, the Angels. We'll see what they can provide tonight. Another game tonight, 8:05 p.m. down in Texas. That's going to be Singer and Eovaldi on the mound. That is Kansas City and Texas. The line in this game, a minus 144 price currently, and a total that actually opened up at 8.5, Joe, overnight, and has dropped to 7.5. And reason so, past 60 days of Major League Baseball, these two pitchers, Nathan Eovaldi's got a 3 ERA. How about this? At an xFIP number of 2.94. Brady Singer, a 4.19 ERA, which is a little bit elevated, but his xFIP number, a 3.64. So maybe a reason here. The one thing I do look at is saying, I don't care who the pitcher is, Joe. On the opposite side, Do you just take Bobby Witt Jr. to get a base hit, to go over his 1.5 prop on bases, to get an RBI, to hit a home run? He has been absolutely sensational tonight, but he's going up against a decent pitcher. What are you looking for tonight? Total? Side? What do you got?
Yeah, and Evaldi got lit up too in his last time out. He was hit pretty hard. But listen, you go from the Oakland Coliseum, which is not a hitter's ballpark, to what are we going? Globe Life Field here in Arlington, which is an absolute hitter's ballpark. So that's good news if you're looking to back the Royals. The bad news is Brady Singer. This is another one of these pitchers, Donnie, with ridiculous home road splits. Very good at Kauffman Stadium, terrible on the road here. But will it matter? Because Texas can't hit anyway. That's the problem here with this game. A great hitter's ballpark with two guys that have been hittable. I don't know. To me, this is until I see it, I won't believe it. It's an under for me. I don't trust the lineups.
All right, let's take a look at the next game up here. Down in your neck of the woods, Seattle coming to town, the Mariners, to take on the Marlins at 7:10 Eastern tonight. It's going to be Rogers on the mound, the lefty for the Marlins, going up against Kirby, the right-handed pitcher for the Mariners. Overnight line broke out around 156 here at the FanDuel Sportsbook, and now we're seeing the current prices higher than even the graphic at 164, currently sitting at 166, 7.5 across the board. If we're looking, forget about home road splits, because typically Rogers going to be better at home than he is on the road because it's one of the better pitchers' ballparks. But if you look over the past 60 days, I got 24 pitchers rated on the card today with a minimum of 20 innings pitched over those 60 days. He's 23rd overall, Rogers, a 5.59 ERA and an xFIP of 4.87. Seattle in first place. The Marlins looking for respectability. That's a heavy price for a road team. Are you looking Mariners today or maybe an upset-minded Marlins squad?
Well, you got, we all celebrated Fade Patrick Corbin Day a couple of days ago, and then he ended up winning a game, which was hilarious against Arizona. Here are the numbers to back up what you were just talking about. The Miami Marlins are now 1-13 in Rogers' last 14 starts. They have lost all 8 of his home starts by at least 2 runs, and they have lost every one of those home starts by an average of 4 or more runs. This is fade Trevor Rogers Day here. Give me Seattle.
All right, there. Looking to fade the boys. By the way, Marlins, maybe sooner than later, we'll get some fans in the building there. We'll have some fun. By the way, did you ever think at one point that hockey would be way more popular than baseball in the state of Florida? It's just wild the way it actually broke out. Like, Florida should be the epitome of we love our baseball and we'll support it. It just doesn't happen at this point, even though you do have a winner technically in the Rays. Let's take a look at another game. 9:40 tonight. Minnesota and Oakland. Paddock versus Estes. Heavy favorite on the road for Minnesota at a -166 price and a total that's up from 7.5 to 8. If we look at Estes on the mound, his last 60 days, a 5.97 ERA, a little bit lower xFIP number at a 4.75, but certainly Minnesota should be able to break out the bats, or at least that's what we think.
Well, I mean, they swept them last weekend, I believe, right at home there, Minnesota, at Target Field. They scored 26 runs across those games, 6 runs or more in those games. Now, obviously, they were at home there, but I don't know, with Paddock on the mound, Oakland's going to have trouble scoring some runs here. It would only be the Twins for me, but don't be shocked if they're not averaging 6 runs a game in that ballpark, maybe just 4 in this series. So I would look towards the under as well.
Pittsburgh, the heat is on even at PNC. We're looking at over 90 degrees, Joe, at first pitch with the wind blowing out. That's a true pitcher's ballpark that maybe doesn't fall as a pitcher's ballpark tonight. If we take a look at Tampa Bay, they're going to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates, a -126 price currently at the FanDuel Sportsbook as a favorite here for Tampa Bay. The total that's listed at 8.5 across the board. Pepio versus Ortiz tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did a pretty good job there, the Rays, did they not, against Minnesota? Every game was like extra innings. They're finally starting to hit the ball. I would take a shot with Tampa to keep it rolling in this one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in that again. Pittsburgh, look, they're not going to win anything. All they're hoping for is, you know what? Our couple of young pitchers here, let's see them succeed for the rest of the year. Maybe we can rebuild for our once every 10-year run at the playoffs. The one thing we do know is Tampa Bay having a very un-Tampa Bay-like year. Even though the names aren't superstars on a year-to-year basis, we always expect a much better performance. I don't want to say it's early in the summer here because we're already midway through the month of June, but hopefully sooner than later, Tampa Bay gets some things rolling. More Major League Baseball in the next segment. Also, some best bets to send you off into the afternoon right here on the early line. Now, the worst team in baseball, yes, even they have to play on a day-to-day basis. That is the Chicago White Sox. Today, Joe Ranieri, they're going to take on the Detroit Tigers here. Fetty versus Flaherty. And by the way, Flaherty is the home team here with the Detroit Tigers. A minus 180 price as the favorite in a total listed at 7.5. But I say this. So the Chicago White Sox don't play great baseball here, but Fetty was one of those pitchers that I would say in Washington, every time he pitched, I'm like, we got to fade this guy. Like, this guy is easy money. Now that he's with the White Sox, take a look at this. 67 innings pitched over the past 60 days. He's 4-1 with an ERA of 3.09, and even the analytical numbers measure up at a 3.29. Is there a discount on the worst team in baseball today? Or Joe's like, hey, look, man, they're bad for a reason. Don't you dare take them.
Yeah, I listen, Fetty and Crochet are two guys that we have cast a lot of tickets, Donnie, this season, just betting them in the first 5. Do not expect the bullpens. You can't back the White Sox, I don't care who's pitching, with that bullpen for a full game. But these guys have kept their teams in it in the first 5. Fetty has been really good with that. I love Flaherty. I mean, what a difference. He goes from the Cardinals to Detroit, and he has been an absolute machine. I like his strikeout prop over 6.5 in this one here. He did just get, I believe, 6 against the Astros, who never strike out. Now he's got to go up against the White Sox here at home. I like him in this spot here. I think you ladder this up. Give me 7, give me 8, give me 9. He could have a huge day striking out guys here in this game.
Look at that. Let's go Washington and Colorado out in the thin air. We're going to have mid-80s temperatures and a wind blowing out in Colorado, and that's why we see an 11 total number in this game. Favorite here for Washington on the road at a minus 126 price. It's going to be Hers versus Hudson. And by the way, home splits, which is what you want to pay attention to since this guy does pitch in Colorado. Take a look at this, Joe. 32 2/3 innings pitched, a 7.16 ERA, and an xFIP of 5.30. Do we get runs today out in the Rockies?
The Rockies are going to be the only team that actually can't score runs in their own ballpark, but every other team can. I mean, listen, Washington has won, 9 of their last 12 games here. They lost the last one against Arizona. But this is a team that absolutely will be capable of putting some runs on the board. I just don't know if CJ is back on the lineup for them, but I do think that the only way you could look at this time of year is at an over here, even with the lackluster Colorado lineup there.
Yeah, it's a shame, man. Like free agents who are hitters should want to love to come to Colorado, but on a year-to-year basis, just a bad baseball team. And by the way, one of the teams that gets more home attendance at a lot of ball clubs out here, despite being a terrible baseball team. Imagine if they could put it back together again. We'll find that out. But now, as we just end the show here, Joe, you know what we like to do? Leave the people with something they can chew on and make some money with. So, as the guest here today on a Friday, Joe, do we have an idea of where we're going today for your best bet? Go ahead.
Absolutely. We're going to keep it with the theme on a Friday, right?
Okay.
And the theme is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let me reiterate those numbers for those that might have missed it one more time. With Trevor Rogers on the mound for the Marlins this year, they are now 1-13 in his last 14 starts, losing all 8 of his starts at home by at least 2 runs. They've lost those games too, by the way, at home for him on an average of 4 runs or more. Now, Kirby is not great. He's good at home. He's not another one of these guys that's not great on the road, but it is the Marlins. And by the way, Seattle 30-14 this season against teams under 500. Yeah, I'll lay the 1.5. I will take the road favorite here. Give me Seattle to keep it rolling.
We'll see how many people are in attendance for a game in Miami when another team from technically Miami there is playing in the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll see how that works out for the Marlins at the gate. But for me, I'm going to keep it in Philadelphia here. Oh, Donnie, you're such a homer here. Of course, it's Arizona and Philadelphia. But how about this, Joe Ranieri? I'm not taking a Philadelphia Philly tonight. We're going Jock Peterson, anytime RBI. Not happy with what Taijuan Walker has brought to the mound this year. Struggles, as we know, particularly over the past 30 days with left-handed batters. Jock Peterson comes into this game, 72 at-bats over the past 30 30 days against right-handed pitching, a 186 ISO, a 360 weighted on base percentage. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte should be on base. Jock Peterson should be able to knock him in hot and muggy in the city of brotherly love. So we'll go Jock Peterson anytime RBI at the FanDuel Sportsbook at a plus 110 price. There you go, people. The NHL, we got the finals tonight. Joe, how are we feeling? 3 hours? Do you want to go another hour? We can do it. What do you say?
I'm ready. I'm just going to come back next week. We'll do it again.
There you go. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. And a great week once again here on the early line. Enjoy your weekend. It's hot here in the Northeast. Let's see if we get a game number 7 for Monday night. Out of here for the early line. Enjoy.